Before today's speech, the boycott was joined by Canada, Australia, New Zealand and the EU member states of Germany, Italy, the Netherlands and Poland. Delegates from several other European countries walked out today, including the British ambassador. The Foreign Secretary, David Miliband, condemned the speech as offensive, inflammatory and utterly unacceptable, but he said the British government remained committed to the talks. With the international community so bitterly divided over the process of tackling or even defining racism, is any sort of agreement achievable or indeed worthwhile? Well, a little earlier I spoke to the UK's representative at that UN Racism Conference in Geneva, Peter Gooderham. I asked him when he decided to stage the walkout.
Well, once we heard what President Ahmadinejad had to say this afternoon at the
So it was a spur-of-the-moment thing, was it?
No, I mean, we had coordinated very closely with our European Union partners, those who are participating in the conference, because we had to plan for the possibility that the President would indeed say the sort of things that he did say.
This was a political stunt. Were you acting on the orders of the Foreign Secretary?
No, it wasn't a political stunt. It was.
What else would you call it?
It was a protest at the rhetoric, that the totally unacceptable language and remarks that President Ahmadinejad made.
Well, you could have chosen, as other countries did, like the United States, for example, you could have chosen not to be there.
Well, we think it's important to participate in this conference.
But you weren't participating, you walked out.
We walked out for the duration of his speech, and then I returned together with my European Union colleagues. We returned to the conference hall immediately after he finished speaking, and in fact heard a very good speech straight afterwards from the Norwegian foreign minister, who left no one in any doubt as to what he thought of what...
If you didn't want to be there for his speech, why did you sit down in the first place?
Because we wanted to hear what he had to say.
So you thought he might suddenly recognise Israel or something?
No, we didn't think that, but we hoped that he would restrict his remarks to the purpose of this conference, which is to address issues relating to fighting racism and not propagating it, which is what, in fact, he ended up doing.
Don't you believe in free speech?
We do believe in free speech, and that's why I was sat in the seat waiting to hear what he had to say. But
why didn't you do him the courtesy of listening to him, then?
As soon as he began to tip over into language that we would regard as tantamount to incitement, inflammatory language, in respect of Israel, in respect of Jewish people, then it was the time to leave.
What is the difference between Zionism and racism?
Well, we see the two as being quite distinct.
What's the difference?
Zionism is a political movement relating to the establishment of a homeland, a Jewish homeland in what is now Israel. And racism is something else. I mean, racism is, I think we all know it when we see it, and it's not that. And we have fought long and hard at the United Nations to keep that, to maintain that distinction.
But isn't the fact of the matter, what you have done today is exactly what someone like President Ahmadinejad wants. He's won today.
Well, we don't believe he has. We think that the protest that we made by walking out of the room has demonstrated just how strongly we feel when that sort of rhetoric is used at the United Nations. Then that is the action we will take. So we believe that we've taken strong action and left him and indeed his supporters in no doubt of what we thought of what he had to say today.
In that case, why was he laughing?
Well, you'd have to ask him that.
You don't think it might have been because you did exactly what he wound you up to do?
No, I don't think it is. I think, as I say, you'd have to ask him.
Now coming up on the programme.